We are still on the Bright Ideas chapter of reading. So go ahead and underneath the last vocab, let's see, number 8 from yesterday, draw a squiggly line. Or no, I think it was after problem and solution.
Yeah.
So after solution, draw a squiggly line and then write today's date, January 12th, 2021. And we're going to start with number 9, not number 11, because remember, problem and solution were just the skills, not vocab words. So we're starting with number 11. I'm sorry, number 9. I just said we're not starting with number 11. Number 9, and number 9 is the word eclipse. Eclipse. E-C-L-I-P-S-E. Eclipse. E-C-L-I-P-S-E. Eclipse. Eclipse is a noun. Eclipse is a noun. It's a thing. What it is a shadow that moves across the sun. So eclipse, E-C-L-I-P-S-E, is a noun. It is a shadow that moves across the sun. Ethan, you'll do the words today. You'll have 5 words. Actually, I think I am going to split them because that is a lot. So Ethan, you'll do the first 3 words. You'll do numbers 9, 10, and 11. Victoria, you'll go ahead and do 12 and 13. Because you would have just flip-flopped. You would have done 2, whatever. Okay, so an eclipse is a noun. It's a shadow that moves across the sun. Let's see. 3 years ago, we saw a total solar eclipse out in the courtyard. Number 10. So Ethan, this is your word too. So make sure to put a star next to numbers 9, 10, and 11. Just 9, 10, and 11, not 12 or 13. Number 10 is the word odometer. Odometer. O-D-O-M-E-T-E-R. Odometer. O-D-O-M-E-T-E-R. Odometer. Odometer is another noun. So it's another thing. And it is a meter that tells how far a vehicle has traveled. There might be 2 L's in that. No, just 1. Okay. So odometer, O-D-O-M-E-T-E-R, is a noun. It's a thing. And it is a meter that tells how far a vehicle has traveled. Yes? Vehicle is spelled V-E-H-I-C-L-E. V-E-H-I-C-L-E. When I say that word, when I'm spelling that word, in my head I think vehicle. Because that tells me, don't forget that silent H. Vehicle. Some people's accents, they do say the H, especially in the South. So you might hear somebody in the South say vehicle. But I say it, most people will say it vehicle. It'll be a silent H. Okay, let's see, in context. The odometer in my car says that I have driven about 60,000 miles since I bought it. Please make sure you're sitting up straight and your notebook is on your desk. Yes, quickly.
That person has much traveled a lot because it's COVID.
Well, but if you bought the car, that's true. My car does say that. But I bought the car in 2015. So is COVID a thing then? No. Okay, number 11. Please make sure that you're sitting up and that your notebook is on your desk. Number 11 is the word scurvy. You've read pirate books or seen pirate shows or movies. You've probably heard the word scurvy. S-C-U-R-V-Y. Scurvy. S-C-U-R-V-Y. Scurvy. Scurvy is another noun. It's a thing. It's not a person or a place. All of these nouns are things. They are not people. They are not places. They are not ideas because they are physical things that you can see, hear, smell, whatever. Scurvy is a noun. It is a disease that causes weakness, joint pain. Remember, your joints are where your body bends, like your elbows, your knees, your shoulders, your wrists, your ankles, your hips, your neck, your fingers, your toes. Those all have joints. A disease that causes weakness, joint pain. It doesn't cause joints, it causes pain in those places. And dental problem. Scurvy, S-C-U-R-V-Y, is a noun. It is a disease that causes weakness, joint pain, and dental problems. Yes?
An odometer used to be an idea because someone invented.
Very true. Yes, an odometer used to be an idea before it was actually invented. Ouch. So yes, so here's scurvy in context. A lot of pirates back in the olden days had scurvy. Scurvy. Yes.
We did something a lot in library that was this boat. People got scurvy.
Yeah. I think it has to do with, I don't remember what causes it, but it's something where if you're on a boat, not as much now because of, modern medicine and everything, but where if you're on a boat, you're very likely to get scurvy back in the olden days. Not as much now. Okay, also, you'll find out in this story that we know how to prevent scurvy now. They did not back then, but now we know how to prevent it. Okay, number 12. So Victoria, these start your words. Remember, Ethan, 9, 10, and 11 are yours. Please sit up on your bottom. Victoria, 12 and 13 are yours. Okay, number 12 is the word, let's see, I'm going to have to erase. I'm going to erase number 9 and number 10. Okay, number 12 is the word scepter. There is a silent letter in there. Don't miss it. S-C-E-P-T-E-R. Scepter. So again, when I'm spelling it, if I have to spell this word, in my head I think scepter. But it is the word scepter. S-C-E-P-T-E-R. S-C-E-P-T-E-R. Scepter. It is another noun. And it's another thing because it is a staff. That means like a big walking stick. A staff carried by a king or queen to show power. So a scepter, S-C-E-P-T-E-R, is a noun. It's a thing. It is a staff, which is a big walking stick, carried by a king or queen to show power. So if you've seen drawings or paintings or pictures of kings or queens, they usually have this like stick in their hand, this fancy looking stick or walking stick or staff. That is their scepter. Here it is in context. The king's scepter was covered in gemstones. Because if it's used to show power, you think they're probably going to make it as fancy as possible, right? Because the fancier it is, the more power, the more money they have. Okay, last word. Remember, Victoria, 12 and 13 are yours. Ethan, 9, 10, and 11 are yours. Number 13 is the word tyrant. Tyrant. This is not T-I, it's T-Y-R-A-N-T. Tyrant. T-Y-R-A-N-T. Tyrant. It is another noun, but this time instead of a thing, a tyrant is a person. A tyrant is a noun, it is a person. And what it is a cruel or unfair ruler. Not a ruler like what we use in math to measure things, like a ruler, like a person who rules, a person who is in charge. So tyrant, T-Y-R-A-N-T, is a noun, and it is a cruel or unfair ruler. Okay, here it is in context. The tyrant king forced all of his people to give him half of their money. The tyrant king forced his people to give him half of their money. You see, that would be a cruel and unfair ruler if they made them do that. Okay. Once you're done writing those definitions, you can go ahead and put your vocab notebook away and open your textbook to page 224. Remember, Ethan, you are doing 9, 10, and 11, so you should have stars next to 9, 10, and 11. Victoria, you are doing 12 and 13. You should have stars next to 12 and 13. So remember, we are working on problem and solution in this chapter. So as we read, we're going to be filling out this problem and solution chart. Remember those questions that good readers ask themselves when they're trying to find the problem. They think, what problem does the main character face? Or they think, what does the main character want or need to do? We're also working on biographies. We're going to see, this is going to be another biography. Who do you think this biography will be about? Mason. Benjamin Franklin. His name's in the title, so it's probably going to be about Benjamin Franklin. So remember, as we're reading, we're thinking, okay, what is the main problem that Benjamin Franklin faces? Or what does Benjamin Franklin want or need to do, and why? Once we figure that problem out, then we can think, okay, What does he do to get to the answer? What's the first thing he does? What's the second thing he does? What's the third thing he does? And then what was the solution? How did he solve the problem? Okay, so everybody on page 224, please read us the genre loudly and slowly. Aaron, so turn your body this direction.
Genre.
Louder.
A biography is a story.
Biography.
A biography is a story about of the life of a real person written by someone else.
So, a biography we know, we read it yesterday. We know it's a story about the life of a real person written by someone else. Who remembers what a story, a biography written by the person it's about is called? Kingston.
An autobiography?
An autobiography. That means the person that the biography is about is the one who wrote it. But this is a biography, which means Benjamin Franklin did not write this. Somebody else wrote it about Benjamin Franklin. Okay? Then look at the general questions. That tells us a little more about the skill we're working on. It just reminds us about the skill.
General question. Problem and solution. Problem and solution. As you read, fill in the problem and solution.
So as we read, we're going to fill this in. By the end of this story, what will we know? What question will we be able to answer, Aaron?
We will be able to solve our problem.
No, look at the booklet.
We need to find out, what was it like to be Ben Franklin?
Hi. Aaron, go ahead and read the title and the author.
How Ben Franklin stole the light. Rosalind.
Sure. These are names, so we can just read it phonetically. That means we look at what it looks like it would sound like, and we just say it. We don't know what it would actually sound like, unless we know this person. So think of other words you know that start with SCH. How do you say those?
Shanzer.
Shanzer, Scanzer, something. Don't be afraid to guess, especially if it's a name. Guessing helps us to get to the right answer. Did I say turn the page yet? So those of you who have turned the page, on your desk, please. I only see one name here, but I know there's words, and I also know there's pictures. Usually there's two names, an author and an illustrator, but we only have one name. What do you think that means? Carla.
I think it means that the one person wrote the words and did the pictures.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. Otherwise, they would have two names. Okay, go ahead and turn the page. And thank you, Aaron. Please, let's see. You may not, if you are reading, you may not get 2 paragraphs. You may get 3. You may only get 1. Please do not comment on it. I don't feel like I should have to make this announcement all the time. If I am calling somebody else to read before you've read 2, or you've read 2 and I'm not calling somebody else to read, that just means I'm doing that on purpose for some reason. Because maybe I feel like we need a new voice, or maybe I feel like this section is a little different. So I want a new person to read because we're talking about something different, or because I forgot. No matter what the reason is, just go with it. We don't need to take time out of our lesson to talk about things like that. Zadie, please go ahead and read loudly and slowly on page 227.
It's true. The great Benjamin Franklin really did steal lightning right out of the sky. And then he set out to tame the beast. It goes to figure, though, because he was a man who could do just about anything.
Okay, let's look at this picture. That's mostly on page 226 and goes a little bit onto page 227. Is each person here a different person? I see one person that looks the same, like over and over and over again. Who do you think that is? Smith.
Benjamin Franklin.
Probably Benjamin Franklin. Now, why would the author show Benjamin Franklin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in one picture? Is she trying to say that there are 7 Benjamin Franklin lookalikes? Michaela? No. Why do you think she's shown him 7 times? Oh, wait, 8, because I missed one because it was in the binding of my book. 8 times in one picture.
Because probably all the stuff, all the things that he did.
She's trying to show all the things he did. And if she did 8 individual pictures, well, that would take up a lot more room, right? So she's just choosing to show it all in one page. There's not 8 Benjamin Franklins. There's not 8 Benjamin Franklin lookalikes. These are just 8 different important things that Benjamin Franklin did. Okay, keep going, Zadie.
Why? Ben Franklin could swim faster, argue better, and write funnier stories than practically anyone in colonial America.
There's no R. Try again, but there's no R. Try one more time.
Colonial America.
Colonial. Close, but colonial. Colonial America. That means America during the time of the colonies. Remember, America was not always an independent country. There used to be colonies which were owned by England. Look at that first sentence that Zadie just read. Why, Ben Franklin could swim faster, argue better, and write funnier stories than practically anyone in colonial America. Last week we talked about fact and opinion. Is that sentence a fact or an opinion, and how do you know? Aaron, it's an opinion. How do you know it's an opinion?
Because other people might not think the same way.
Other people might not think the same way. Other people maybe think somebody else could swim faster. Other people might think somebody else could argue better. Other people might think that somebody else was funnier. Also, is there a way to prove that Benjamin Franklin was actually the fastest swimmer? Would it be possible to go back to colonial America and have every single person in existence swim in a race? Do you think that's something that happened back then? No. What about argue? Do you think they had a debate with every single person in colonial America and Benjamin Franklin won that debate, that argument? No. Do you think there were probably people that wrote funnier things back then? Probably. And even then, what Ben Franklin thought was funny, other people might not have thought was funny. So they would not agree with that. Is that still on? Okay, put it underneath. Otherwise it's on my desk. Okay, so that is an opinion because first of all, we cannot prove it. And an opinion, a fact is something that can be proven. Second of all, other people might feel differently. Some people might think others are funnier. Zadie, keep going.
He was a musician, a printer, and a cartoonist, and a world traveler.
Pause. That sentence. Is that a fact or opinion? And how do you know? The sentence, he was a musician, a printer, a cartoonist, and a world traveler. Is that a fact or an opinion? And how do you know? Michaela? It's a fact. How do you know?
Because people could probably watch it on TV.
Well, could we watch it on TV though?
They could watch it.
Zari, can you help her out? You're on the right track, but Zari, can you help her out? How do we know that that is a fact?
Because it says right here, a musician. You could look at the music that he wrote in books, and that same thing for cartoonists. You can go to an old library that still has books from the olden days and see what if he did write cartoons.
Very good. So we can prove that. We can look it up. We can find music that he's written. We can find cartoons that he's drawn. We can find things that he's printed, that he actually printed in a museum. And a world traveler, we know that because of the books he wrote. He would not be able to write some of the things he wrote if he had not been to this other country. Also, we can see in things written by people in those countries that they met Benjamin Franklin. So those are all things we can prove by going to historical books or resources. Zadie, keep going.
What's more, he was a newspaper owner, a shopkeeper, a soldier, and a politician. He even helped to write the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States.
Good. More facts, right? The rest, other than that first sentence, we can prove all of those other things, right? By going to historical resources. We can see his name on the Declaration of Independence. If you've ever seen the Declaration of Independence, there are lots of signatures at the bottom. Those are the people who wrote it. When we look at it, we can find Ben Franklin's name there. Do you think that the rest of the Declaration of Independence writers would have let some random person who didn't help put their name on it? No. So we know anybody's name who's on there, they wrote it. And Benjamin Franklin's name is on there. Kingston, read next, loud and slow. Oh, you don't have your face shit on, so you're not ready. Ethan, read loud and slow. Very loud and very slow. A little louder. Newfangled. So that means we've already found two things that Benjamin Franklin existed that we still use today. What is the first thing that Benjamin Franklin invented that we still use today? They're both in this paragraph. Ethan, what's the first thing? Not electricity. That was Thomas Edison. We read that yesterday. What was Thomas Edison did an electricity, but have we read anything about Benjamin Franklin and electricity yet? No. So we're just using text evidence. Zadie, what's the first thing that Ben Franklin invented that we just read about that we still use today?
He started the first lending library.
So libraries. Before Benjamin Franklin, it was really hard to borrow a book. You could go to these places and you could read a book, but you couldn't bring it home. You had to sit there, read the book as much as you wanted, go home, come back the next day, and finish it. So the first thing he invented that we still use today are libraries. Did you know that Benjamin Franklin was the first one to come up with the idea of lending libraries? That means we're allowed to borrow the book and then bring it back, which also led to things like video stores and Netflix and everything else we have. Because once videos came, people wanted to borrow videos. Once the internet came, they wanted to be able to have them mailed to them. So because of Ben Franklin, we have stuff like Netflix today. So next time you're watching Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus, thank Ben Franklin, because he's the one that came up with that very first idea of the library, which led to everything else. What's the second thing he invented that we still use today? Colin.
His post office was the first delivery mail.
Not to delivery mail. To, not delivery. That's not the word delivery.
Deliver mail.
Good. So before Benjamin Franklin created the post office that delivered mail straight to people's houses, people used to have to come to one place, like a post office, but it wasn't called the post office. They just had to come to one building and be like, hey, my name's this. Do you have mail for me? And then somebody had to sort through it all and find all their mail. But because of Ben Franklin's idea, then the mail started coming directly to people's houses. They didn't have to go to that building to pick up their mail. So, next time you get a package from Amazon, who are you going to thank? Class.
Benjamin.
Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin. Very good. It sounds like Benjamin Franklin was a person who liked to solve problems. Right? Because he solved the problem of having to go to a place and pick up your mail by creating the post office. He solved the problem of having to go to a place, read a little bit of a book, go home, go back, read more of the book, go home, come back, read more of the book until like 2 weeks have passed and you're still not done with the book, by creating libraries. So I bet we're going to find some other problems that he solved in this story. But do we know yet a problem and the actions he took to solve that problem? Do we know that yet in this story? Come on, guys, think. Feet down. We know a problem, the library thing. We know he solved it by creating lending libraries, but do we know how? No. So do we have enough information to fill out our problem and solution chart? No. Girls, do you have questions or are you wanting to answer? Okay.
Just answering.
Okay. Read next. Smith.
He also wrote almanacs that gave hilarious advice about life and told people when to plant crops, whether there might be an eclipse, and when the tides would be high or low.
Keep going.
And he hoped to start a hospital, a free academy, a fire department.
So more things that Benjamin Franklin, more problems that he solved. But we know more problems, we know their solutions, or well, we know the solutions so we can figure out what the problems were. But do we know enough information to find his actions that led to those solutions? No. So let's keep reading. Smith, keep going.
In colonial days, fire could break out at any time. And it was lightning that caused some of the worst fires. Whenever thunderstorms were brewing, they would ring the church bells for all they were worth, but it didn't do anybody a lick of good.
Okay. So now we finally come to a problem that we don't know the solution yet. Before, we actually read the solutions and we could guess the problems. But now we have a problem. And we haven't read Benjamin Franklin's solution yet. What is the problem that Smith just read about? Zari?
That some thunderstorms or just thunder made the worst fires. Well, some of the worst fires.
Did the thunder cause the fires? Zari? What caused the fires?
Lightning.
Lightning. So there's our problem. We have a problem where we don't have a solution yet. We know that back in Benjamin Franklin's time, lightning caused fires. Let's take out fires. Well, we're going to put it back, but let's do many fires. Because lightning still causes fires today, but not many. Not like it did back then. And Benjamin Franklin, being the problem solver he is, what do you think he's going to try to do about this lightning causing a lot of fires? Zadie?
He's going to try to find a way to prevent that from happening.
He's going to try to find a way, a solution, that prevents lightning from causing so many fires. Now we know lightning still causes fires today. But does it cause many? Not as many as it used to. So do you think whatever Benjamin Franklin did come up with a solution? Think about it. Lightning still causes fires, but not as many as it did back then. So do you think that Benjamin Franklin found a solution to this problem? Probably. Let's keep going. Come on, guys. You all need to show me at least. it's a yes or no answer, I need to see an answer. Please don't just guess, because then you look silly. Think about what I'm asking and show me a yes or no answer. Okay. Read next, Michaela, loud and slow. Everybody finger ready to follow along.
Of course, after Ben stole the lightning, there weren't nearly as many fires for firefighters to put out. Now, why was that? I hear you ask.
A little louder, Michaela.
I hear you ask. And how did he steal any lightning in the fireplace?
Not the fireplace. Go slow.
In the first place? Well, it's a long story, but before we get to the answer, here's a hint. One of the things Benjamin Franklin liked to do best was to make inventions.
If your hand was following along in your book, that wouldn't happen. Do you understand that? Okay. We already knew that Benjamin Franklin liked to solve problems and to make inventions. Did it say before this point that Benjamin Franklin liked to come up with inventions? Before this sentence, did it ever say Benjamin Franklin liked to invent things? Ethan? No. So how did we already know that? It didn't tell us. How did we already know that Benjamin Franklin liked to make new inventions when it never actually said those words? Victoria?
Because I'm pretty sure we have heard about Benjamin Franklin.
Okay, so we used prior knowledge. What else? Zadie?
Because he kept making all these inventions, but why would he make them if he didn't want to?
Good. So we took prior knowledge that we've already heard about Benjamin Franklin and his inventions. We thought about what the book said about all these other inventions that we never even knew were Benjamin Franklin's, and we put them together to create a new answer. That means we did what? We made what? Zari?
Inferences.
We made inferences. Remember, taking what you already know, adding what you learned today. That is called making inferences. It's also called critical thinking. Making inferences is a way to think critically. So again, I'm going to ask one more time. I've asked this a bunch. Is every single answer to every single question you get going to come straight from the text? Class? No. So is it okay to leave an answer blank just because you can't find it in the book? Class? No, because what is that question probably wanting you to do? Don't tell me make inferences, because making inferences is an example of doing this. Zari?
Think harder.
Think.
Or use your brain.
Use what type of thinking? Zadie?
Critical.
Critical thinking.
Critical thinking. Okay, go ahead and turn the page. Everybody finger ready to follow along. Let's keep making inferences and thinking critically. Michaela, keep going.
Why Ben was born.
Remember, if we have why at the beginning of a sentence with a comma, think about it. Sometimes you've heard people talk like this. You would say, why Ben was born an inventor, was a born inventor. It's just a way that people put emphasis, especially people who talked like a long time ago. They would say, why, what a surprise, or why, how great you look, or something like that. So it's not asking a question when it says why, comma. It's saying why Ben was a born inventor. Okay, so try that sentence again using the proper expression. That's not something you may know, but now going forward, how should you read that sentence, Michaela?
Why Ben was a born inventor. He loved to swim fast, but he wanted to go even faster.
There's a problem. Do you think he's going to solve it, Michaela?
Probably.
I bet. Keep going.
So one day when he was a
Lad.
on
Not on. Go slow.
of 11. He got some wood and invented swim
Not puddles.
paddles for his hands and swim fins for his feet. Ben could go faster, all right, but the wood was pretty heavy, and his whiskers
Not whiskers. You're adding extra syllables. That's only a one-syllable word. Remember, if you have WR at the beginning, it's just an R sound.
arts,
Who can help her out with that word? Mason? Not riders. You're adding extra syllables. It's only one syllable. Cullen?
Wrist.
Wrists.
wrist got
Put the syllables. That's a PL. How would you say PL? And remember, if you have MB at the end of a sentence, the B is silent. Put it. You can look at it later. Nope, just put it under your book. The B is silent in that word. So how would you say that?
wrist got plum worn out.
So it says Ben was a born inventor. That's an idiom. If you say someone was a born something, you're a born singer. You're a born artist. Are you actually born already doing art? Or already inventing? Or already singing? Or if you're a born mathematician, are you born doing math as you come out of your mom? No. That is called an idiom. We already know about idioms. Remember, idioms are non-literal expressions that mean something. A born something, bless you, means you weren't actually born doing that thing, but you've been doing it since you were a little kid. You were made to do that. You are already started as a little kid. It says when Ben Franklin was 11, he basically invented, like, what are they? Oh my gosh, flippers that you put on your feet to make you swim faster. He basically invented those at the age of 11. So he started doing this when he was really young, which is why we call him a born inventor. He wasn't actually born inventing things when he was like 1 day old, but he started when he was a kid. That's when we would use that idiom of born blank. And he was good at it. Thank you, Michaela. Zari, are you able to read right now?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and read next. Everybody follow along with your finger.
That's why his second invention was a better way to go faster. He lay on his back, held on a kite string, and let his kite pull him lickety-split across a big pond. You might want to remember later on that Ben always did like kites.
Why does it say that? You might want to remember later on that Ben always did like kites. Why are they saying that? Kingston? Well, it seems like you know the answer, so why don't you tell us? Well, he used what in his experiment with electricity? A kite. Because he wanted the lightning to strike the kite. That's probably why they said that. Now, did it say that in the book? How did we know that? Almost all of you knew that answer. Michaela, how did you know that?
Because we took things from the book and what we already know.
Mostly in that case, you used what you already knew. Because all of you pretty much know that Benjamin Franklin used a kite in his experiment with electricity. Did we read about his experiment with electricity in this textbook? Have we read about that at all this year? No, but we knew that because we learned it in the past. So, prior knowledge is very important. That means when we finish a chapter, does that mean you forget all the information? No, because it's going to come up again. Maybe not in this year, maybe not next year, but it could come up 3 years from now. Okay, keep going, Zoe.
Ben kept right on inventing better ways to do things for the rest of his life.
Keep going, Zoe. We're going to read this page, and then we'll see if Coach Jay is here. If not, we'll read one more after.
Take books, for example.
Hey, Peter, it's Stephanie.
You got it.
Ben read so many books that some of them sat on shelves way up higher near the ceiling. So he invented the library chair. It pulled up the seats out some stairs to help him reach any book on high shelves. And in this case, climbing chairs
Not
made
climbing
him
chairs.
dizzy.
Not climbing chairs, but in case climbing and in case.
And in case climbing stairs made him dizzy, he invented a long wooden arm that would help him grab his books too.
Okay, so we find more problems and solutions. But have we found any of the actions that led from the problems to the solutions yet? No. We still only have the one problem that we have not seen Benjamin Franklin's solution to yet. He wanted to swim better, so he created those paddles. Did it say how he got from the problem to the solution? No. He wanted to swim faster. There's the problem. So he used a kite. There's the solution. Do we know what happened between those two things? No. He had a lot of books that were high up. There was the problem. He created the library chair and the long arm to pull things down. Do we know what happened between that problem and that solution yet? No. But we do know lightning caused a lot of fires. That's a problem. Do we know how he solved it or what happened between yet? No. Let's see. Zadie, can you open that door so we can see Coach Jay if he's here? And Carla, please read the last paragraph on page 231, loud and slow.
Do you want me to open it?
Yeah, and just leave it open. Like, open it all the way. Listen while you're doing that. Carla, go ahead and read.
He also invented the
Odometer.
odometer that showed how far he had ridden to deliver the mail. And the first clock with a second. And he even thought of daylight saving time. When he invented so-called
Bifocals.
bifocal, so older folks could see up close and far away without changing glasses.
So, more inventions that we still use today. The odometer. Every single one of your parents' cars has an odometer. If you know someone with a boat, it has an odometer. If you know somebody with a motorcycle, it has an odometer. Some bicycles even have an odometer. You know a pedometer that tracks your steps? That comes from an odometer. So if you have a Fitbit or an Apple Watch or any type of smartwatch that tracks your steps, who should you thank? Class. Benjamin Franklin. He also, well, we don't have one up here. The clocks with the second hand. Benjamin Franklin invented that. We already knew about seconds, but he added that hand to the clock so that we know how much of each minute has passed. He also thought up daylight savings time. We still do daylight savings time today. That was Benjamin Franklin's idea. Bifocals. Those are glasses where if you look down, you see close things that are close up. And if you look up, It's like one, just your regular glasses. You can't tell the difference from the outside. But if you look down, you can see things close up. If you look up on the top half of the glasses, you can see things far away. People still have those today. Benjamin Franklin came up with that idea. Not glasses. Glasses existed, but not bifocals. You used to have two separate glasses, pairs of glasses, and keep track of them when you needed to read up close. And then you needed to take them off and put your other glasses on to see far away. Now you can use one pair of glasses for both. Some of you may end up needing those someday. Some of you may have them now, I don't know. But I know some kids need bifocals. So more solutions, we can guess the problems, but do we know what led to from the problem to the solution? No. No. Okay, we'll do one more page. Please read next. Carla again. Carla, I called your name. Why are your headphones not on? I'm going to call on somebody else because you were not ready or paying attention. You need to pay attention. Victoria, please read next. Loud and slow. Everybody's finger following along. Zadie, just give me a silent sign if you see, like, wave to me. Okay. Go ahead.
Everybody and his brother and sister just had to find better ways to heat their houses in wintertime.
The first part of that sentence, that's another idiom. Everybody and his brother, or everybody and his sister, everybody and his brothers and sisters. That doesn't literally mean every single person and all of their brothers and all of their sisters. It's an idiom that means a lot of people did this. So if you hear everybody and their brother is going to be at the basketball game this weekend, that doesn't mean every single person and their brother is going to be at the basketball game. That just means a lot of people are going to be there. So that's another idiom. Keep going.
So Ben came up with a Franklin stove.
I only needed one person to do that. We will finish this paragraph and then we will move on.
So, do you want me to read that?
Yeah, go ahead, quick.
So Ben came up with a Franklin stove that could warm up cold rooms faster and use a lot less wood than old-fashioned stoves and fireplaces.
Okay, so yet another problem and solution. Problem, heating homes faster. Solution, the Franklin stove. Do we know how we got from the problem to the solution? Nope, so we're going to keep reading to fill this out. Okay, put your guided practice in your book to save your spot. Then you can just leave everything where it is. Stand up, push your chair in. Girls at home, you can go ahead and go to PE. I will see you at 12:35.